Suffer from my art. Now it's your turn.
Looks like I got punched in the fucking eye.
You did.
And I didn't. And I've been playing with the lighting, trying to get rid of it. It's like here, like
It's the other one.
this one.
Yeah, that's the one with the big shiner.
But there's no shiner. Like if I go look at the mirror, there's nothing there. So it's a shadow. This is what we get for not doing this for a while.
How you been? Well, I only just saw you like last week. So
well, yeah,
it's been ages.
We had quite a week, didn't we? We had quite a week. I mean, with the fires in LA, obviously, were awful. And you
can't even begin to.
You were personally impacted, but it's not my place to talk about that.
Yeah, my dear son Max has kind of lost everything. He was living in the Pacific Palisades, and then I wake up to a text and it says, "It's all gone." And I was like, "Oh my God."
We were kind of in a bubble, because we were, in a little studio up in the hills of Santa Cruz rehearsing for Cy's solo tour. So obviously our phones were, we weren't on our phones. We weren't watching news. And toward the end of the day, I started to see messages from friends in LA telling me how serious the situation was. And it wasn't until I got back to the hotel that Tuesday evening that I realized just how bad it was. And I think you spoke to Max Wednesday morning, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he texted me, but I didn't actually. Yeah, I did speak to him that morning.
Fucking awful.
Yeah. I mean, it's heart-wrenching, for him, all the philosophy and all the sort of, I could say all these things, but there's a right time. So not even sure I want to say it here because he'll see it and he'll kind of go, that's a bit glib, because all I can just feel is like, I'm hurting for him.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. And we both know so many people that were impacted.
Yeah, I'm hurting for so many people.
Awful.
And the irony being is that, our first little outing we're doing, our first show is in LA
I wonder,
Well, I've been talking to my manager daily, about various things, this tour and the upcoming Fix tour and everything. And he said just people's heads just aren't into it at the moment. Where it's normal. He says he was down in Santa Monica and everything appeared normal, but what is normal,
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I mean,
I don't know.
It makes perfect sense. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I don't know if the new normal is to just be. I was just reading something about normal is a kind of we're like a product of society that demands us to be normal in our emotional output and our productivity output and our ability to just not say anything when something is screaming wrong inside of you and you just don't say anything and it builds up. Like, normal men has killed 100 million people over the last 100 years doing normal war. That's normal, and then so we're just looking, and I happened to see a clip of someone took a picture of a plane flying over the Palisades whilst they were on fire. And you could see LA, and then all of a sudden you're over this inferno. And I was just thinking, oh my God, and this person, okay, they're doing the right, but he's put this dramatic music over it, like it's something from Terminator 2. And I was like, dude, it's not art at this point, it's pain.
Everyone's got something to say about it, one way or the other.
Yeah, really. So my heart goes out to everyone. My heart goes out to everyone that's had to experience that and is still experiencing it, and the displacement of lives. And one side that's sort of, I've been hearing how people have been amazed at the outpouring of community, how that everyone's helping in and pitching in, and the volunteers, there's lines around the block. There's as many volunteers as there are people displaced almost, which is absolutely beautiful. So, LA has still got a heart underneath all its kind of dusty
And then, of
future.
course, you have people taking advantage of the situation as well,
Yeah, well,
which
I
is
don't even want
awful.
to
But
go there.
I think
I'm
you're
not
gonna
even.
you're gonna
Yeah,
have that in any
yeah.
situation.
It's just ridiculous. The politicizing of
Mm.
people's pain is just like, come on. And then
It
everyone's
is
blaming you.
ridiculous, but I'll tell you, they do need to look at some things there.
They do.
Um, like
We all do.
everywhere.
We all
And
do.
hindsight's 2020, right?
Yeah.
Who expected a tragedy of this magnitude? But down the road, they have some work to do for sure.
Yeah. I mean, not to, just to throw a curveball on it all, I've been thinking about this is kind of going to bankrupt the insurance business.
Mm-hmm.
So that the government, you would think in normal times would just write a check and then just stick it on the pile of ever-growing debt and pass it on to our grandchildren, grandchildren, just make it happen. It's not real money at this point. But if you imagined that there was no insurance, you already see it in hurricane
Mm.
towns down in Florida. If there's no insurance on your house, do you think people would think, maybe they'd think twice about where they're living and how they're living because there is no insurance?
Mm-hmm.
Now, no insurance and no interest on your investments.
Mm.
If you took those two things away, how would society function? It would function, but it'd be back to that. I'll give you 3 shells, you give me a loaf. And the guy will go, okay, I don't want your shells. I want 3 carrots or something. So you'd have to deliver something that is worth something to someone else to get something that is worth something to you, rather than just sitting back going, oh, let's cause chaos and
Mm.
stick interest on it. And we're making money out of debt. The biggest
Well,
earning segment of money right now is debt. And it's just, what is that? I mean, I'm not a financier, but it just feels weird.
Well, you're right that the insurance industry is going to be impacted greatly, and we're going to see rates everywhere go up because they have to mitigate that risk. And people are still on the hook for their mortgage. I mean, I saw a finance guy on the news, and they were asking him what happens to these people who had mortgages, and basically what happens is they reduce the payment by eliminating the structure, since the structure's gone. But the heartbreaking thing is 2/3 of the value is the land and not the structure. So people are still going to be on the hook for their payments.
Well, that's just an arrangement because really it's the structure, not the land. Is like if you're going to build with gold bath taps and chandeliers as opposed to like a little wooden shack.
Yeah, but that's how they do it. They
I know.
base it on the land. The structure is not worth as much as the land, I guess by 2/3 or something. This is what this guy said anyway. And if you look at your own insurance policy, yeah, you can see that, like when you look at your own policy and you look at the amount you're paid to rebuild the structure, it's far less than the value of the total thing.
I mean, they must be talking about houses there because in an apartment block, you're all sharing this same
Well, yeah, they
square.
are. I'm sure they're talking about houses.
So, in an apartment block where you're all like divvying up for a small
Mm-hmm.
sky piece of this footing,
Right.
you can't all be. That again exposes this. The whole value system will be questioned, and I know LA will bounce back from this, and
Mm-hmm.
at some point, the term future proof will have to be people will be selling houses saying they're future proof, fireproof. The
Yes.
irony being is where we were last week in that little woods, the complex fire, the big fire that we had up in our neck of the woods
Right.
in 2020, burnt literally right to the front door, but it
Mm-hmm.
stopped because he'd built a little fire protection gap and he has a sprinkler on his roof. But that kind of, so many people lost houses that you could see FEMA trucks everywhere, and people haven't bothered to rebuild. They can't sell the land. So that land that the insurance companies is saying worth 2/3 of the house that once stood there, those pieces of land are still for sale at reduced prices. Some people are taking the punt and building, but a lot of the insurance companies have pulled out of
Yeah.
California, State
Well, you know,
Farm.
my friend who lives at the top of the Burbank Hills can't get traditional insurance.
Right.
He had to go to Lloyd's of London. Now, previous to buying the house he's in now, he lived sort of in the flats of Burbank, and the insurance rates were the same. We were kind of neighbors. And then he made a ton of money. Expensive house, 2 point something million dollars.
Play the game.
Didn't look into the insurance and was shocked when he called his insurance company. They're like, we can't insure you up there. And the only insurance he could get was Lloyd's of London. And he pays, are you ready? For fire, earthquake, and regular homeowners, $123,000 a year.
Jesus.
Now it started at 70, right? So it's gone up. He's only been in the house 3 years. It's gone up that much. And I wouldn't be surprised now if they just pull out completely.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Like, I mean,
What's the value of his house going to be if you can't?
And who's going to buy it? You know, even if you want to sell it, so I don't know. I think LA's got a really, really tough road ahead. I mean, they had so many problems already, and now this, and you know, LA used to be the dream, and it's just temporarily a nightmare.
Right. I mean,
Awful.
the the whole, I don't want to politicize it again because climate change is real and doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on.
Correct.
Events like this will make you realize that there's no one here to help you really understand it and protect you from it other than your own instincts. And if you, obviously you're on the hook, your kids are at this school, as you've got friends, you've got to keep working to pay this mortgage. That whole value system is teetering on the brink of, I don't want to say it's an awakening, but people are going to realize how the system works, that whole debt structure. And, we hear all these, and the stock market was up 400 points today. That was down 200. It was up there. It's had a great week. Those really, if you follow that all the way down, it's just somebody like rationing the oxygen in the room so that people become lightheaded when it's like doing well and they don't realize that it's at someone else's expense.
Yeah, it's an equal sum game, right?
Yeah, but now we're all going to pay some kind of existential cost.
For sure. This is going to change a lot of things, I think, and not just for Los Angeles or California.
Yeah.
It's going to, it's just an awful tragedy.
Yeah. I mean, what we're going to do, cut down all the trees, that little barn owl and smelt. Well, you can just, go fight for yourself. We've got to fight for our lives right now. I've got kids to raise. Never mind the odd little miniature barn owl that's been protected, which, okay, I understand that things have to change, but it's a sad, sad kind of state of affairs. But then back to my son, Max, who's sitting there going, it's the little things that people have lost, things that mean the most. I heard somebody talking on the radio yesterday saying that he'd lost his house in a fire. And part of the process for him was he thought luxury was all the things he had. But it now turns out, once his mind had processed, he goes, luxury now is realizing what I don't need.
True.
And isn't that how we kind of are like on this point of like commercial commerce? How much shit do we actually need? Not a lot. And then when you put yourself in the situation where it's all gone, what's your first step forward after that?
I mean, where do all these displaced people go? Like, where are they going to go?
Yeah, friends' houses for a few nights.
Yeah.
Hotels.
It's interesting. I was watching somebody and they were talking about the homeless crisis and how the homeless crisis really doesn't have much to do with not having a home because every one of these people in that Pacific Palisades fire and the Altadena fire, they're going to sleep in a bed tonight somewhere because they have a network. They have friends, family, resources of some kind, right?
Yeah.
And that the homeless problem really is a drug problem and a mental illness problem. And this really puts that into focus too. It's really not about housing, is it? It's It's much deeper than that.
Well, we're putting men on the moon, but we can't even fall asleep without anxiety on our own planet anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What's to
True.
think that we could find solace out in the stars? Yeah, it's good to have an adventure, and it's good for us as a race or as a species to feel. I think it was Henry Miller said, if we don't stop trying to be gods, we'll all become worms. And it's so true, because we have become worms. We're worms that turn the soil of commerce.
Mm.
And those that are getting the rich flowers planted in it are all these sort of Amazon bucks being made. The Amazon forest is diminishing, but the Amazon business platform is burgeoning. And those few kind of rubber barons of yesteryear are now internet barons, and they're just cleaning up. And we're enjoying the convenience of it all. It's so convenient. I mean, every time I'm looking for a cable, I'll just order it. I'm not even going to bother to open the drawer of messy cables. I'll just order another thing, and
Boy, I'm guilty of that.
and that'll be in the drawer next week when I find the old one I was looking for.
I just bought some new cables for our thing. And I
Yeah.
probably have, well, I don't know. These were USB. These were Thunderbolt 4 cables, so I probably don't have a ton of those.
Yeah, I'm looking
But
for
I know what you're saying. You're so right, Cyril. And so anyway, that's a huge bummer, and we should probably move on from it.
Yeah, I know. Max, I love you more than the universe, as you know. And they have each other, they have their little babies.
Yeah, they're
And
safe.
they have something to go, and they have an experience that they will learn from greatly.
Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable that I haven't seen Max since he was a little chubby boy. Now he's this grown-up, handsome guy.
Yeah, he's they do that,
I wonder if he remembers me.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'll ask him when I talk to him after this.
Well, anyway, give him my best, and
yeah.
Where are they now? Did they take off to someplace else, or are they with
they're
friends?
in Palm Springs.
Right.
They have a place to stay out there, so they ferried out, and they're just, oh, I need a new clean pair of underpants. Go out and buy some underpants, or I need this. They're in the process of rebuilding one need at a time.
God, when I lived on 9th Avenue in New York, and the studio was at 44th and 9th, remember those guys that were always on the corner selling stuff?
Yeah.
And they're so cheap. I didn't even do my underwear laundry. I just bought new packs of 8 for $3 every week or two.
I remember they used to sell for girls, ladies in the UK, like when I was 15, they were called chucker panties, and they would come in a string of 7. They were paper underwear.
God, no, these were the tidy whities. Obviously I wasn't trying to impress any ladies at the time. But when I moved out of that apartment, I had a huge garbage bag of tidy whities.
Yeah. I just remember these paper panties being all the rage for a while, but one quick squat and they were history. They didn't handle mistakes too well.
No,
so they disappeared off the market pretty quick. But a good idea, because now they can make some pretty interesting fibrous material out of recyclable whatever.
Right.
Oh yeah. So anyway, having said that, people's heads aren't quite on the game right now, but that's okay, because there's a lot of soul searching, a lot of questioning. We're all invested in what's happening in the immediate environment around us.
Mm-hmm.
But our job as symbolic healers, what do? We go out and we try and get people's heads a little bit out of the darkness for a minute. And sometimes it takes a song that creates an even blacker black to make you realize how not quite as black as it is, because you're actually alive and breathing and listening to this song. It's not all dead. So when I was picking the songs that we're going to be doing, it's like a schizophrenic journey of like, woe is me. Actually, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
woe is me. So we're trying to flip the coin and see, oh, it's heads, oh, it's tails. So it's going to be a pretty eclectic set. I think we've picked, I know I've wanted to just songs that I know I can sing from
Man,
that
you can
place
sing
that I
all the
want to.
stuff. As I was listening to the set list on the way up to Santa Cruz from Las Vegas, I was like, holy shit, these are hard songs to sing. And man, I have the recordings from the rehearsal. You nailed it.
Yeah.
When you
Well,
were when you were purposely in full voice, you were, hitting it. So it's going to be good. We had a good week. It was Cy, Rick Brandt, and
beautiful.
myself. And we rehearsed for a week up there.
Great. And Rick is on top of things, isn't he?
He's tremendous.
He's so observant with his eyes and ears. And he he's got like a kind of a savant way of listening and
He's really good.
watching.
Well, he's trained in relative pitch, so he hears things.
Yeah.
He knows where it's going if he knows the song, which is a real big help. Where I was looking at my notes. And so since I've gotten home, I've rehearsed everything without notes so that I can focus on the vibe, the playing with you guys. You know what I mean? It's a different experience.
Yeah.
I've been a studio punk for 30 years.
I mean, we're all three very different in how we've come up. I'm like autodidactic. I've just sort of been thumping around on the piano as therapy my whole life. And I like to sing. I like to research. I like to sing. That's what I do. I just like hit the ground. I came out singing, apparently. My mum said, before I could speak, I was like rambling a tune off. And it's still in me. It stops me feeling insane.
Well, for me, it's about not focusing on the technology and all the other bullshit, because that all takes away from the actual emotion of the performance. So that's why I've been running the set. I've got everything set up in my live rig now. I've got all the pedals arranged in a pedal board and all the tech out of the way.
Yeah.
And I'm playing through these,
sitting there with it all like around
right.
him.
And so it's all out of the way now. It's all managed and it's all organized. The sounds are all programmed. I remember we were fishing for sounds and trying different things.
I saw the evolution. I watched the evolution of your process as you were like,
well, you would be surprised from then till now how much more organized it is. And because I realized that if I don't get all of that bullshit out of the way,
you won't get off.
The performance is going to suffer. I need to be locked into Rick and locked into you. And having not done this for so many years with other musicians,
good luck locking into me.
I've been sat on the other side of the glass observing. And you hear differently when you're observing as to when you're participating. So I'm used to the guy sitting there going, no, run it again. That's what, where I was the guy making the mistake or stumbling over something because of technology. Yeah. So I got everything together and I've really been enjoying just playing through the set list.
Nice.
Along with our rehearsal files, and it makes a big difference,
Yeah. I mean, there's a big difference like watching someone drown and actually being thrown in the pool is a different feeling.
Yeah. Right? I mean, I was a fish out of water there for a while but it's coming along.
It's great. It was all good. I think it's going to be great. I think once we, I don't want to let too much of this out because this is all between us. It's like nano talk for the audience is just going to get the show. They don't need to know where they just need to know, wow, and let the magic take them over because they're going to watch three men drowning and we will actually be drowning. And that's what it has to be. Where Bowie said, if you, when you go out tiptoeing in the ocean and the moment you can't feel the bottom and you start to feel that, that's exactly where you need to be creatively to be doing something worthwhile. And by Lord, that stuck with me my whole time. Like I've always kind of under-rehearsed a little bit because when you walk on stage, you get to that point of like, whoa, what am I going to do? Well, some of the best moments I've experienced have come out when I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do next.
Yeah, I think that's true. It's just, I didn't want technology to get in the way of those moments.
Yeah.
Because when that's out of the way, then you play and spontaneous things can happen and will happen.
It's like what I call audio parkour. Woo, wee, where's he going to go? And I know once you get a twig of where I go, I tend to sort of like look around and will suddenly throw a curveball in terms of arrangement. And all you got to do is just hold where you're
Hang
at
on.
and I'll come back in.
Yeah.
That's been my default. And it took me years to train Jamie to not go like that and bust me and make it look like a mistake. Because
he wants it to be,
everyone to be counting on the arrangement, but then he
right.
kind of learned from me how to suddenly go, oh, we're in one of those. And then he turns around to the band and he starts waving his guitar neck around. This is the count. Follow me. And he'd wait for the wanker to come back in.
And those are great moments, but they have to happen free of other things.
Yeah.
Or the focus is lost. You know what I mean?
And not too often, but liberally,
Well, we'll see what you do.
Yeah, we'll see. Now we've given all the surprise away. Let's not even bother.
There's no surprise. I mean, I was just talking about my process and, I haven't done this in a long time and you dragged me into it. And it's been a really eye-opening experience for me.
It's so fun to watch your stumps bleed.
Fingers are doing pretty good. Like even mangled pinky really wasn't bothering me.
I thought you were going to gnaw it off.
No, I was fine. Just the guitar hurts,
Yeah.
So we fixed that.
Yes, I'll be good. Get out and about. And, this is a crazy week.
A month from yesterday.
Yeah. I'm just going to go for I like to spend a couple of weeks swimming like a mile a day before I...
Oh, when are you leaving? You're going away, right?
Yeah, I'm just going to go away to the Big Island to a friend's house and just swim in this long pool that they've got and just swim and swim and swim and swim and swim and crash out. And then it's been a tough year. All this germs, God.
To start at 2025 was brutal. I mean, at our house, we had every bug, cold situation that you could pretty much think of.
Terrible, right? So we've kind of got to kick the ground off. This is a busy year for us. I mean, we're hoping to bring this out to the Midwest in the summer and then East Coast in the fall. And then in the fix, we're out and about quite a lot. And we'll be announcing quite some extensive dates. And the next week they get announced.
Yeah.
So it's going to be busy. And I wanted to just start with the lungs I used to have, which is...
You sound great, man.
Yeah,
sound great.
Just nice to, like when you're playing a bagpipe, you never see a bagpipe player with his sack deflated completely. You got to keep it. Well, lungs are like that. You always got to keep some air so that if you want to hold a note or, the control comes from the air. The air. Sorry, I should make grammatic. The air. I hate it when people don't say a "the" after a vowel. You noticed how that's becoming like an epidemic, where people don't... The air. It's like it's not the air, it's the air.
The air. Oh, the air.
Yeah, the umbrella. That just sounds wrong. Maybe because we were
British.
Yeah. After a vowel, you always say, before a vowel, the is a the.
They didn't teach us that here.
No, apparently.
No.
I just want to... And I'm the one with the problem because, the last thing Father Cooper told me is, and this is heavy Jesuit guy, enjoy the doubts, Curnin, because you seem to have more than most. I was like, thanks. And don't forget the after. He kind of had me sussed. He knew I was a square peg stuck in a round hole, or a round peg stuck in a square hole, more like.
Yeah.
And I was used to waffle my way out of trouble with these very elaborate excuses as to my truancy.
I mean, you're still kind of doing that.
Yeah. I was forming, I used to. The good thing about England is we all wore uniforms, and you could steal away from school. Like I'd check in for assembly in the morning, and then so that was like we started late in those days. So it was 9 o'clock. By 9:10, I was on the train up to London with my friend Chris O'Connor, and because we were in the uniform, there were other school kids on outings, official school outings, walking into museums, and we would just tag along behind. And the teachers would be so busy, we would just sneak in. And we gave ourselves an education, not because we were meant to, but we were like doing it to subvert our own scholastic programs. And we were suddenly, hey, we're walking around the Tate Gallery. Who'd have thought that this morning? Or we're walking around the Natural History Museum. Oh,
Great.
let's go and lift a Snickers from the thing. So we had a great education. Then we'd be trying to get into the pub because in those days you could buy a pint at 14 if you kind of.
Yeah, Deb talks about going to the pub after school in her school uniform.
Yeah, it's because the barman was one of those guys. They're not allowed anymore. Those guys.
No.
That's why all the pubs are closing. They don't allow underage drinking.
Man.
Right? I mean, who drinks overage anymore? Everything gives you bloody, makes you sick. So you could see that they're after the drinks industry now. The Puritans, every day it's like, it used to be 7 drinks a week. Now it's like, don't even think about drinking.
Yeah, no, I've seen all those new reports.
This hit me is like, when you quit smoking, I haven't had a cigarette for like 12 years, but
that's good.
Every day, a moment will come along where I'll remember the oral fixation part of it. So it's still in my head. And in so talking about non-alcoholic beer, I wonder if it's the same, like I'm really craving a drink, but if I talk myself out of it by promoting the non-alcoholic stuff, I'll forget about it.
Remember you really being a smoker.
Man.
You must have been.
Not in your tiny studio, but I was a
No, not in the studio, but yeah, if we were out, yeah, I guess.
Yes, to smoke those Gitane French cigarettes.
Yeah, I never was a smoker.
Yeah, I was.
Never.
Started at 8 years old.
Oh, Jesus.
Stealing my mum's menthol cigarettes. And then you could buy a pack of 5 with that same kid, Chris O'Connor.
They sold them in packs of 5.
My school buddy, who I just mentioned, we were truant with, by these little Park Drive, they were called, a little pack of 5 cigarettes. The bus stop.
Yeah, they didn't sell those here.
And then it was always, the girls wanting to appear like ingenues. They were big in their early teens. They'd all be, and we'd be like, "Whoa, look at that! She looks."
I mean, in those days, everyone wanted to smoke. Yeah,
and they all had the
my high school. My high school had a smoking courtyard. The first year when I was a freshman.
Yeah,
and it had been there for years. And the teachers and students would go out there and smoke on breaks. And then by the time I was a junior, they had closed it. But that just tells you that's a sign of the times right there.
Yeah, really. I mean, I don't miss it, but it's so awful. Much of how we've changed. I mean, I don't even remember wearing a seatbelt when we were going on a 1,000-mile round trip holiday in the car.
Yeah.
I wonder if there were any seatbelts in the back of that car.
And
no headrests. Didn't wear a cycle helmet. Didn't do any of that stuff that you're supposed to do now.
Right.
But
somehow we all survived.
I'm not saying it's not a bad thing. It's good.
No, it is. I mean, I saw a funny news clip of when, it wasn't until the 70s that they banned drinking and driving.
Yeah.
And these guys on this news thing were like, what am I going to do if I can't drink a few beers on the way home from the construction site? And they're in their pickup truck with beers open. And it's just amazing to imagine that was okay at one time.
Yeah, I mean, in my family, there's the well-known quote my dad many moons ago, I'm too drunk to walk, love, I'm going to have to drive.
Where did I just hear that?
I told you.
Did you say it? Yeah, you did.
That was him. And basically, he didn't want anyone to see him swaying down the road. But hey, that's sway walking. But he used to drive like a snail anyway. And then he'd, expletives. Yeah. He had like road rage would suddenly be amplified. Oh, the guy that was always telling me, never smoke. He gave everyone hell for smoking. And then when I was out of a cigarette, I'd just go to his pocket and pull one out. Bloody hypocrite. What chance did I have?
My
I
dad
love
had a
you,
tough time
Frank.
quitting smoking, and there was this funny moment when he was supposedly had quit. We had this black lab named Temper,
God.
and Temper got into his jacket or something and came out with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, the right direction, off to the side. It's one of my funniest childhood memories. I was little too, maybe second or third grade, and I remember it vividly. But yeah, he got busted that day. Temper busted
Good.
him. And he ended up quitting. I think he ended up quitting it
Who, the
in
dog
his
or your
50s.
dad?
No, my dad. He ended up quitting smoking in his 50s, and he's 88 now. And, he's dodged the
Me, I stopped.
major health stuff, which is good.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
That's great. So breathe, I don't want to, the air that we're choice to breathe with outside of our as the urban decay and catches fire. I mean, quality of air is an important thing. I mean, like, air filters are huge. All this week I've been hearing about how to make homemade air filters.
I
I've
need
been
to
running.
get one. I need to get one just because my studio is like you dust it, and then 2 days later there's a fresh layer.
Oh yeah,
And we're
because
just
it
breathing that
charges.
shit. So I got to get. You have something, right?
Yeah, all the positive ions around the gear, they just go.
Where do I get a thing?
I'll send you the link. It's like something called blue something or other, and they're the best. We have a massive one here that just is on. When we go to bed at night, you crank it up, and it's like.
I'm going to get one of those, and I'm going to get the generator that we talked about.
Yeah, the Honeywell.
It connects to natural gas.
Good.
So if the grid goes down, the AC stays on.
Nice.
Got
to do it.
So listen, you added another date to the tour, right? Have you announced that?
I did announce it, but then my manager said, "What are you doing? I just asked you if you wanted to do it. I'd give them a chance to say yes." So it is, hopefully by the time somebody sees this, it will actually have happened. And my previous excitement, it probably will happen because they have a band. Something fell out that night.
Be fun to play in the hometown.
Yeah, it will be. I've never
Your
been
hometown,
in there.
anyway.
Yeah, I've never been in this particular gig, but a lot of people.
I was seeing one of your fans, I think it was Tara, was commenting, saying that it's a great venue. Does she live in Santa Cruz?
No, she was around here, for a while.
Right.
She
was saying that it's a terrific venue.
Yeah, it's just a fun, well-oiled rock club, but
that's all we need, man. We need a small stage, and
you get not good blues concerts in there on Sunday afternoons for the sort of early crowd, Blue Plate blues,
right?
Blue Plate special blues, but we'll have fun.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I think that's a good run. We've done a good little potty there, short and sweet.
I think it's good. All right. Well, that was good. I'm glad we did this. It's been a minute, and we, the holidays sort of took on a life of their own.